What our national emergency involves isn't at the border. Our true national emergency is that there's a group of people in charge who don't take the Constitution or laws of our country seriously. Some of them are even willing to forego the rule of law. Which seems to me like staring down a high cliff towards chaos and anarchy. There are far too many conservative, nationalist, racist white politicians who have proven that they are willing to play dirty to maintain their supremacist lifestyles and belief systems, using force to keep unfair control of everyone else, pretending to represent law and order, but distributing them unevenly according to prejudices that they hold dear. And now the country's vulnerable to people like Coast Guard Lieutenant Christopher Paul Hassan, who was planning to execute liberal members of Congress and members of the liberal media before being caught. The people he targeted are seeking the same political and social goals as many other truth tellers we've already lost to selfish racist hate, such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Bobby Kennedy, John Kennedy, and many others. So yet another rogue white male killer with access to weapons tried to rob us of federal leaders who fight for fair treatment for everyone. He also wanted to silence journalists who report the truth that conflicts with the narrow worldview these neo-nationalists are taught to revere. To be acceptable to this exclusive group, you have to be a racist, conservative, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant with a gun, who attends church, who doesn't approve of abortion, and prefers life the way it was in the 1950s when women and minorities knew their place and men covered for each other when they wanted to do something they professed to disapprove of publicly. There isn't a similar list of assassinated conservative leaders or journalists. Well, why is that? Because Americans in the non-Republican political parties generally respect fair play, and they aren't filled with fear and hate about people unlike themselves. Respect in and trust for our democratic political system seems to be in question by the white moral majority. For all of their righteous indignation about the flag, they don't actually respect the democratic process at all. It must be because they're used to warping the system with new legislation written in complicated legalese that changes the rules back to their favor most of the time, or provides a handy loophole for their legal escape, or for their financial, political, and social benefit, or to harness cheaper free labor from the masses. Like the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, ratified in 1865, that made slavery and involuntary servitude unconstitutional in the United States except as punishment for a crime. Cheaters always change the rules of the game when they're losing. It's just like in The Wizard of Oz, when the wizard first claims to grant Dorothy's friends' wishes if they bring him the broom of the Wicked Witch of the West. When they manage to accomplish that, the wizard has an excuse for why that's actually not good enough for them to grant their request. He's changing the rules. We've seen the white men hiding behind the curtain at the controls for the very big, scary, high-tech, showy fake image that they've been using to keep everyone in check. Now we see the conservative Republican male politicians who've been insisting everyone follows rules that they secretly ignore for themselves. They're just spoiled rich boys who don't want to lose their greedy, controlling supremacy. They are not an authority that deserves respect. I'm here to tell you that it's no longer necessary to fear the great white wizard. He is not the authority of justice or truth or even basic fairness that we've been led to believe. There's no going back to the racist white privilege and supremacy way of doing things. There's no more pretending the status quo is fair or just. There's only moving forward toward reinforcing the structure of this country to never again be vulnerable to corruption and prejudice, whether it's in its politicians, in its government programs, or regarding the well-being of its people. Now we need cool heads to get us through this time of such political and ideological polarization in our country. It's time for brown hands to grab the wheel. May our mercy overcome our wrath.